Kelly, how are you?
Yes, I'm good.
You're in Miami?
I am.
I love Miami. I love the humidity.
Oh, me too. I'm
You
Brazilian,
too?
so I gotta.
Oh.
This is great. It's the best weather for me.
So tell me about your business and what's the big question or the big problem?
Okay, so basically, I'm creating an online channel that it's geared towards Brazilians, just to really teach them about the universe of cannabis and to end its stigmas. And I've been getting a lot of Brazilians curious about how to invest in this field in the U.S. Since it's also an interest of mine, I kind of like said, you know what, if I can figure it out, some kind of online university that I can give some kind of consulting business for these Brazilians, that would be something, nice for me to focus. So I guess my question is, what ways can I improve this channel? I know I'm looking for jobs in the field right now. I'm taking online classes and, of course, researching as much as I can. But if you can maybe give me some pointers on where I could go that could give me more depth into this, it would be great.
Where you could get more depth in where you go into the business, or what do you mean by depth?
Well, so basically, what I want to do, what I have in mind is creating initially like an online university that would teach Brazilians, of course, in Portuguese, about the world of cannabis, right? And I feel like all the information that I'm getting right now is everything that I either find it on books or online. And I thought that maybe if I had more hands-on experience in actually finding a job in the field would give me some, open my mind in what I should get. But I was just wondering if there would be something else that I'm missing that would, shape me into becoming this person that would give my audience more resources. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So maybe let me ask you the question a different way, and we'll kind of unpack this a little bit. So
Okay.
you want to start a business serving the Brazilian community or Brazil in educating them on cannabis. So we need to figure out two things together. We need to figure out what the problem is you're solving for them. What's their big problem, and where is the hungry crowd that needs that problem solved? So what is it at the end of the day when they go through your course? What is the problem that we're going to solve once that's completed?
I guess how to invest in the U.S. in this field.
So an online course on how to invest would be something you'd have to update every week, because the cannabis world is changing weekly, and it's in a huge growth mode where the laws, who's winning, who's losing, is changing at a rapid pace. So I don't know that would be an online course that would I don't know that that's the best idea for you, because it's constantly changing. It would be more like starting a news network and having weekly broadcasts about the latest news, because the idea of a course, like I have online courses that I recorded 10 years ago that are still relevant today because they teach customer service or sales or some sort of vocational tool. But an online course that's news in an industry that's changing so fast, I don't know that would be the best use of your time. It sounds more like a podcast and a news show or a newsletter, something like that. Does that make sense? Now, if you're teaching them how to grow,
totally.
If you're teaching them how to grow, that's a different thing.
Yeah. And we've, my husband and I, we've been developing this in less than a month, really. And I think everything is changing. We started with this idea about just having this university with classes on how to grow and maybe how to, what are the steps to opening a dispensary or a delivery, business in the U.S. and just kind of like, that's kind of like the way that we were going to go. But when we started talking about this to some of the people that we know, that's when the whole, so how do we invest? How do we start a business like that in the U.S.? And then we're like, maybe we should, look into this. Right now we have like this seed that it's evolving into different things. And I guess what you just said makes sense, that I can maybe shape that it would be easier, like a podcast or something like that.
So the back end of your news show, that could be a podcast or YouTube or a newsletter, could be an investment fund, and you could go out and invest. What about, is there an audience in Brazil that would invest in the American market?
Yeah, I believe so.
Why don't you test out starting a fund, an investment fund? Mm-hmm. And then, in an investment fund, you charge a percentage of what's invested as a management fee.
Interesting. I never thought of that. But yeah.
But it sounds like the news show would be a front end to a back end of a fund, an investment fund. So you report the news, but the news you would report would be more in line of how people are making money and where the Rembrandt is in the attic. Have you ever heard the analogy of Rembrandt in the attic?
No.
So let's say that you're buying a house in the Hollywood Hills, and I'm buying a house in the Hollywood Hills, and we can say Florida too if you want, but I'm familiar with real estate here a little more. And the house is $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. And I go look at the house, and I instantly bid $2 million on the house. And everybody's like, whoa, this guy's crazy. But the thing is, when I went to look at the house, I went up in the attic and I saw that there was way over in the corner, nobody'd seen it, haven't been touched for 20 years, a Rembrandt painting that's worth $30 million. Mm-hmm. And so what would you pay for a house that had a Rembrandt that nobody'd seen in 20 years that's worth $30 million? What would you pay for that house? You'd probably pay $10 million for that house, right? Like you're gonna make money. And so what you're doing is you're teaching people where the Rembrandt is in that industry, and you're more of a reporter out reporting on the front end where the gold is, where the Rembrandts are. And then on the back end, you're investing your money following your own advice. And so you have a fund. Now, I don't know the legalities of investment funds and how you can sell them, because I know there are laws on how you market it and do it, but I know a lot of financial advisors that have podcasts and radio shows and things like that feed their business. Mm-hmm. And also you're talking about laws in Brazil, so you might be able to run a different thing in Brazil and invest the money here. So you might not have to follow the same rules there. I'm not sure you'd want to talk to an attorney, but that sounds like a really solid business model to me, is having people, educating them on the industry and how it's changing and what's working, and then investing that money on your own advice. And you would become the expert. You would become the expert in that industry. But a training course online would be hard to launch. Those are hard to launch, and in what you're saying, you would have to constantly change it.
Got it. Yeah.
It's a good idea. Is there a lot of money in Brazil to be invested?
I know there is a lot of people with money that want to do that, and they fear investing that in Brazil. First of all, I mean, we believe that Brazil is at least 20 years behind when it comes to legalization there. But especially now with the president changing and everything, there's people with money there that would like to invest here. And then I was like, well, there is that market, so let me learn so I can teach them what to do.
You're also diversifying for them too. It's lower risk because they're not in just one business. They're across a bunch of your investments. So it's safer in the long run, as the industry changes, which is another selling point for you, is you're diversifying their investment. So, you buy a dispensary, all of your money is in a dispensary. And if that comes or goes, you lose. But if you're investing across the board in a bunch of different forms of growing and selling and products and dispensaries, then you're going to be diversified. I wish my partner in crime for Business Outlaws, Big Mike, was here, because he would have a whole nother take probably on this, because that's his industry. But
no.
Have you listened to Business Outlaws?
No.
You need to pull out your phone right now and subscribe. We need one more subscriber today.
We'll do it right as soon as we hang up.
Okay. What did you think about my advice?
It was great. I'm going to start looking into the whole investing part of it. I already do a little bit for myself, but maybe I should just focus more on that instead of the educational side of it. We'll see. We'll see what my research shows me, and I'll call in if I have another question.
Okay, one that you might want to research, and I don't know. I know him personally as a pretty good guy. Is Grant Cardone has a real estate investment fund that he does, and if you go to his website, do you know who Grant Cardone is?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to his website, you can just kind of see his model and how he does it. But I believe he's taking a management fee, and he's buying, big apartment buildings, and that's one of his streams of income in his company, is investing in real estate, which I think is something he's done for a very long time and been very successful at it. But it allows his fans to participate in his business and invest along with him, which is, a lot of people are big fans of his, and he has a huge following. And so it allows them to, be able to participate in his success. And he had courses training you how to do real estate, but what's better than just done for you? Just give me your money and I'll invest it. I'll save you the time and you'll just get your return. And I'm not in any way endorsing his course. I'm just saying he's a really, he's got a smart business model. I don't know much more about it. I've never talked to him about it, but it would be a good place for you to start to look at just how that model works, where somebody is giving content on the front and teaching about real estate, and then he has a fund on the back end where people are investing in his advice. Seems
cool.
Like
I just found his website here. I'll look into that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly, and I hope you have a great week.
No problem.
Please call us back and let us know what you do.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, Grant Cardone is a great example of somebody who has all kinds of different streams of income. He has a big following, and I believe he taught how to sell real estate for the longest time. I know he did because I saw those courses, but at some point he flipped and he started a fund. And so now it's like, hey, I can teach you how to sell real estate, but better yet, why don't you just give me your money and I'll invest it for you? And then in those deals, and I don't know how Grant does it, he might take a piece of the upside, or he might take a management fee. I know I've been offered those deals before to come in and manage funds that buy car dealerships, where they'll pay me, 5% of the fund that, if they invest $30 million, I get 5% of the 30 million, not even on the performance of the fund. That's another, I think you get 10% or higher on that. And so there's different ways, and you should talk to an attorney that specializes in this, but there are a lot of ways to go out and raise money and invest funds. And for your clients, it allows you to diversify. And also, instead of learning how to do it, you're just doing it for them in whatever industry you're in.